In this video, we're going to be talking about coding for game development, aka how to make a game. And if you're brand new to game development or brand new to coding, this is for you. We're going to talk about the basic concepts that you need to understand in order to kind of get started. Making a game is a pretty huge thing, and so I can't cover all of that in one video, but I can at least get your feet wet. Real quick, my name's Space Cat, and I teach game dev noobs how to make awesome games in a neat little game engine called PICO-8. It's what we're working in now. It's kind of a retro fantasy console, and it has a built-in code editor, sprite editor, map editor, and sound designer. It's a really neat engine, and I have a whole course for beginners. There's a link down in the description and a little bit more on that later. So here's what you really need to know. Coding a game is all about events, aka when do things happen. If you're like me when I started out, you think about code as, a bunch of jumbled letters and dots and these kind of things. And you're like, how is that supposed to actually be a game? How does that even work? Well, long story short, your code in a game engine runs from top to bottom, and the game engine will do whatever your code says in order. If it's something like walk to coconut, pick up coconut, eat coconut, gain 100 health, this kind of thing would be in order. So this line is going to happen, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. But in order to make a game that's interactive, you can't just write a bunch of stuff in order, because that's just like a story or a movie or an animation. You have to have the game actually respond to things that the player does. And so you can kind of think about this a little better by saying when the player hits the X button, let's say, walk to the coconut. When the player hits the O button, pick up the coconut. When the player hits the down button, let's say, you eat the coconut, and then you gain 100 health. These are kind of broken out into little pieces that say when. This whole kind of thing right here, this chunk, you can call this an event or a function or a method or a handler, that kind of thing. In PICO-8, they're called functions, but it's basically when something happens, do something else. And there's really two kinds of events. There's a built-in and there's a custom event. And this is true of just about any game engines. There's built-in events. These are things that automatically happen when you load up a game, things that the game already understands is going to happen. This can be things like moving a mouse. This could be something like hitting a button on the keyboard. This could be when the game starts, or when there's a new frame, or when the user quits. That's the kind of stuff that's like built in. It's already the language that the game engine understands. Then there's also custom events. And a custom event is something that you kind of define yourself, right? So a custom event might be something like die, or take damage, or when player is hit. This kind of stuff depends on how your game is designed and the things that you've set up. Whereas a built-in event is something like when the game starts or when X is pressed. You see the difference there? There's built-in events and there's custom events. And all of your code is going to go into some kind of event. And so with this knowledge, we can kind of think about this logically in saying, okay, if there's an event that runs when my game is turned on, then I can set some things up beforehand for my game and kind of set the stage. And then I can have other things happen when there's input from the user. And then depending on the state of everything in the game, where the player is on screen, all of that kind of stuff, I can call custom events like when the player is hit, do stuff, when the player finds a hamburger, when the spaceship lands, those kind of things. If the custom events thing doesn't make a lot of sense right now, just think about the built-in events, okay? So let's just start with the built-in events. And this is going to be a little bit more specific to PICO-8, but there is a version of this for any game development engine you use, whether it's Unity or Unreal or Godot or GDevelop or whatever. And there's going to be a certain way to define the event and what happens when that event is called. In PICO-8, it's called function. So if I type function, and then the name of the event, which the built-in event for when the game starts in PICO-8 is called init, like this, and then there's two parentheses like that. What we're about to do is define what happens when this event is called, _init. Again, this is a language that PICO-8 recognizes, and it says, I'm automatically going to call this as soon as we start the game. And so whatever code is after function init, that's what I'm going to run first. In fact, we need to put an end, END here, to tell it to stop this kind of section. That's kind of the end of this chunk of code. And depending on the language that you're using, this PICO-8 uses Lua. You might need to tab over or space over so that things that you put in this function, they're kind of spaced over like that. Some languages are really picky about that and they actually need that to happen. And some languages aren't so picky, but it's always a good idea to do this just because it's easier to see what's inside of the function and what's outside of the function, right? And so as you kind of get deeper into functions and other kinds of statements, things kind of start farther and farther to the right. So we'll start with this init function, and remember this is on game start. By the way, when I put these 2 dashes, this is a comment. That's why I've been putting these dashes in here, is because PICO-8 won't think that this is code that I actually want to run. It's just kind of notes to myself, okay? So anytime you put 2 dashes, that's just like a little note. Okay, so function init. This is what happens when the game starts. So we could do something like write a word on the screen. And most things that you want to happen are going to have to take a command of some kind, which is actually sort of like an event, but it's more like telling the game engine to do something specific. So there's a command called print, P-R-I-N-T, and this is pretty common to most game engines again, and that's going to have 2 parentheses after it too. And so it highlights it green because it knows what this is. And inside of these parentheses, we're going to put whatever it's supposed to type on the screen in between these. And I'm going to put it in quotes like this. And so we'll say, hi world. I'm not going to say hello world. You know, that's just too typical. So hi world. And now what do we do? We have this typed up. What do we do? Well, the first thing we'll want to do is save. So I'll just hit Control S on my keyboard. It says saved Untitled 35. And then we can run this in Pico, we can hit Control R. And that's the case for some game engines. But there's going to be some way to, hit a play button or publish or preview or run or something like that. So you need to run it, and that's when it's actually going to execute all this code. So save, run, and now look, we have our kind of PICO-8 start screen and our terminal here, and then it says hi world. So nothing too fancy right now, but here's what's cool. We did actually make a program that's functional. It looked at this function and it said _init. I know what that means. So when I run this game, I'm going to do any code that's in between this function init and end. And the only code that's here is print. So we're going to put something on the screen and we're going to print hi world to the screen. Save, run, and it prints it there. So it's already ran through all of the code that it needs to, and that's where we're at. Now let's try this a little different. Let's go to function _update, and update runs every frame. And PICO-8 runs a game at 30 frames a second by default. If we take this print, and I'll just hit Control X and then put this in update, when the game starts, nothing's going to happen on init, but every frame, when it updates the frame, it's going to print hi world. Save, run, and now it's just typing that over and over again, 30 frames a second. If I run this again, so it just has a whole stack of this and perfectly kind of prints it over itself, so you don't really notice after a while, but it's still printing this 30 times a second. A similar function in PICO-8 is draw, and this runs 30 times a second, but it runs after update. And the only difference is that draw isn't a priority where update is. So if we're out of memory or if it's having trouble doing everything that we tell it to do, it's going to do the stuff in update 30 times a second, but it might not draw it 30 times a second. So you want to put any kind of calculations and important stuff here in the update, and then anything that's just kind of visual that doesn't have to do with your character dying or not, that can go in draw. But we can move this down to draw for now. It doesn't really matter. We're going to get the same result here, hi world. Okay, now let's combine this with something else. So right before print, remember this goes in order, we can type another function called CLS. That's short for clear screen. And we'll put those 2 parentheses there. And we don't always have to put things in the parentheses. That's just a place to put extra stuff if we want to. By default, this is just going to delete everything on the screen. So 30 times a second, it's going to delete everything on the screen. Then it's going to print hi world. Save, run. And here we have hi world in the upper left-hand corner. And it doesn't really look like it's doing anything. Every frame, it's clearing the frame and putting hi world there. Pretty cool. Now, let's get some interaction going. Depending on the game engine that you're using, you can test if the player is pushing a button on the keyboard or the mouse in a couple different ways. Sometimes it's a function like, on button pressed or something like that. But in Pico, we're just going to check if a button is pressed 30 times a second. And really, these are kind of the main built-in events. There's init, which runs at the start, update, which is 30 times a second, and draw, which is 30 times a second after update if Pico's not too tired, right? So what we'll do is we'll actually just test and see if I'm pressing a button 30 times a second. And we do that by surprisingly, typing if, and then we're going to test to see if there's a button. That in PICO-8 is btn, and then 2 parentheses like that, and then we need to tell it which button. All the buttons on the keyboard have numbers, but I can also hit Shift X to add a little X button emoji, and that will work too for the X button. And then after that, I say then. So if button X then, and then we need an end for this too. And then we put our code that's supposed to run inside of this. And this is just another kind of way of checking if something is true. And if it is, then it's kind of another event, right? So 30 times a second, if I have the button pressed, then we do something else. That's when all this is happening, this is when we're going to do the code here, okay? So maybe we'll just move our clear screen up to here like this, save and run. Now hi world, and then if I hit X, it deletes the screen. So X, it gets rid of the screen, and then it draws hi world over it again, right? So this is an interactive game. It's not very great. Yeah, it's called Clear the Screen. It's the world's greatest game, okay? But you know, if you hit X a bunch, it's like, okay, don't let hi world get to the bottom of the screen. Oh boy, it's insane. But this is where we can put whatever we want to happen when the user presses X. So how do we do something a little more fancy? I'll move clear screen down here. Well, let's talk about variables. Now, if you remember from math class, variables are something, you know, like X equals 4, that kind of thing. And that's exactly what they are in game development and coding, right? Is you have a letter, or you can even make a word, you know, like dogs, and you can have that equal something. It can equal a number, it can equal a different word, it can equal true or false, and a couple other things. But what we can do is do something like position, let's just say POS for position equals 63, okay? And so now anytime that I type POS in my code, it's going to use the number 63, because the first thing I do when I run the game is I set POS to be 63. So if I say print POS, save and run, it's going to print 63. So if button X, then let's do something like POS equals POS plus 1. So every frame, if I hit X, that's going to take whatever POS is and it's going to add 1 to it. So the first time I hit it, it'll be 64, and then it'll go through this loop again, and it'll start with 64, and it'll add 1, and it'll be 65, and so on. So save, run, and as I hit X, it adds 1 every time I hit X. Now, it's really easy to accidentally make this go super quick, actually 30 times a second, because if I just hold down X, it'll just always be true. So I can, here instead of BTN, I can say BTNP, which is button pressed, which just gives me a little bit of time before it calls this again. Save, run, and now every time I hit X, it only goes up once. I can hold it for a second and it still only goes up 1. So yeah, now there's a little bit more interaction, and I'm changing a value of a variable based on if I'm hitting X or not. So that's really how you'd move something around the screen, right? So if we say Shift R for right button, POS equals POS plus 1, and check this out. This print, I can actually put an X and a Y value here in these parentheses if I put a comma. So this would be like the X value and comma the Y value like that. Y will just say 63. And then for X, we'll just say POS like this. This kind of a list of different numbers, these are called arguments. Arguments are things that you send into a command or into a function to kind of tell it how to do its job, okay? So if I hit save and run, we have 63 right here in the middle, because 63 is about the middle of the PICO-8 screen. And if I hit the right button, this moves over to the right, and it also makes that number bigger, right? And so that's kind of how you move your character. We could also add an else if button P, and let's do left, then POS equals POS minus 1. Save, run. And now I can move this back and forth by hitting left or right. And this is a lot like maybe moving a character around the screen. You know what I'm saying? And we could do this for the y-axis and just switch that out with a different variable, but you kind of get the idea. So really, this is the basics of how you make a game. This should get you started. There's a lot to creating a game, even in PICO-8, which is a relatively simple game engine. And hey, if you're brand new to game development and you're looking to learn how to make a game in PICO-8, I have a course. And we start with the very basics, and I'll teach you all the essential things you need to know, a lot deeper than we went in this video. In fact, this video is a great kind of starting point for that course. And we go through an overview of these tabs in PICO-8 and how to draw pixel art and sprites and everything like that, how to draw maps and work with those. And we eventually work on a platformer game together. And by the end of the course, you'll be able to make your own platformer game, and you'll understand a whole lot about PICO-8 and a ton about game development. So make sure to check that out. There's a link in the description below. Our students have been having a lot of fun with it. It's really exciting to see the kind of things that they can make now that they've gone through the course. So check that out. And if you want to learn more about Pico-8, I post videos about it all the time. You can subscribe and like and do all that stuff. But I hope this was helpful for you. Did you have any aha moments? Why don't you let me know in the comments, okay? All right.